Oh man, I'll tell you, the outfits when we're shooting and they switch off the air conditioning, all of that, it's insane.
Oh yeah.
And 100 degrees inside the studios, you know. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's the job.
Thanks, Cliff, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Great to be back in Vancouver for sure.
Yeah. So how would you describe your character?
I'll tell you how he's been described as the sexiest villain out there. No, I mean, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy, but he's got a lot of charisma and he's charming. And I think that's what makes him really bad, is because that's how he draws in his people. You know, that's how he gets their confidence. I've always kind of compared it to like the worst serial killers in the world. They've all been the most charming people, and you trust them. That's why they were able to do what they were able to do. So yeah, he's definitely that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the fashion model of Stargate. He had the greatest outfits.
So with all that, what do you say was your best performance with that character?
You know what, it's so hard to compare them, but I mean, me personally, I enjoyed the filming continuum. For me, was really great, and I think was great for the character because it really showed how much control he could have over a situation, and doing all the time travel and stealing the gates and all that kind of thing. So I'd say continuum really wrapped up, you know, what this character could be. There was so much more to him than what was actually shown.
Yeah.
You know, and personally, yeah, that was the greatest fun to shoot because that was just like doing a huge, bigger budget episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it definitely shows.
Yeah. No, it was phenomenal.
Yeah. So are there elements of Ball that rubbed off on you, or that you rubbed off on the character?
No, everything that Baal is me. I brought myself into the character.
Okay.
It's kind of like
I should be worried then.
It's kind of like, you know what? I believe everyone has a dark side. You know, and I brought out, you know, that's the dark side of me. He's like the control freak. He's like, I can kill anyone I want to kill, but you know, we civilized people and we can't live like that.
Yeah.
But no, I brought a lot of Baal, the sense of humor, and all of that is really, I really played him. I played myself. That's what I did. And I generally play characters like that. I let the dialogue do the talking for me, if you know what I mean. And I like to by bringing myself into the character, it made him a three-dimensional bad guy. You know, he wasn't just all bad and tough the whole time, because that's not how people are, and I think that's what made him relatable. Yeah. So no, it was definitely, Baal had a lot of Cliff in, not the other way around.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So then how has playing Baal and being on Stargate affected your life?
Well, tremendously. I mean, first of all, you know, I moved out to the United States in 2000 from South Africa, and I had to start a whole new career completely from scratch. And luckily, you know, I got onto Stargate, and man, that just set my career, because that got casting directors to know my name. Yeah. Being on such an iconic show, and such a huge show, with such a huge following worldwide, they do take notice of that, you know. So it took a little while after the show for me to start getting other roles, because you're so recognizable as one character, and sometimes they don't like that. But it definitely rolled off, because straight after that show, I was getting calls from, my agent was getting calls from casting directors asking for me by name, which is a huge deal. To have that kind of thing in a city like Los Angeles, yeah. You know, in the center of the industry, it's a huge thing for a casting director just to know your name.
Wow.
So yeah, it definitely set my career for me in the United States, being on such a big, successful show like that.
Yeah.
And still is. I mean, it's just, people see Stargate SG-1, everyone knows it. Even if they didn't watch it, they know of it.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
Yeah. And over 10 years after it ended.
Yeah. And even, you know, more so, I mean, I'm amazed we're still doing so many conventions worldwide. And now what's happened, there's 8-year-old kids coming up to me and they know who I am. And I'm like, how do you know who I am? You weren't even born. You were born 2 years after the show finished.
Yeah.
But they're being brought up on Stargate now, the same as we were on the original Star Trek series. So of course they know who I am. So there's this whole resurgence of fandom out there. And they want to see us and they want to meet us, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So why do you keep going to conventions?
To stay in touch with the fans, I think that's the most important thing. And being in sci-fi, we're very lucky. We're one of the few genres, probably the only genre, where we actually get to meet the people who watch us. And we get feedback, which is good for us. I mean, sometimes it's not great feedback, but it's great to meet people who watch you, and because it makes you realize that's what I'm doing it for. I'm actually entertaining these people, because a lot of times as an actor, you do your work and you go home, or you finish on a show and it's kind of a bit of a letdown. You don't know how you've done, you don't know who's watching you, and it just feels like a bit of a grind. Yeah. But with sci-fi and Stargate especially, we go to conventions all around the world, and the reaction from fans is amazing. So like, we know people watch us, and it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing for an actor to get feedback from people who watch you. Yeah.
So out of all of the people that you met all around the world at different conventions, there's got to be a couple of weird interactions with fans.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What is one of those weird interactions that you can tell us about?
You know what? Most of the time, it's kind of like stalker issue kind of things. People waiting outside. I mean, I was in France, and the guys came up to me. This was a few years ago. This was a weird situation, because they came up to me and they said, "Cliff, you've got a stalker." And normally I'm very aware of what's going on around me the whole time. I'm very aware of when people walk into conventions and they've got guns. I always play with a gun. I always ask to see the gun. Maybe because I was brought up in South Africa, I was brought up in a gun culture. Yeah. I'm very aware of that. And I kind of want to make sure it's not a real weapon. It's just ingrained in me to do that. But when I was in France, the organizers came to me and they said, "Cliff, listen, there's a guy, he's stalking you. We've been watching him for a while." And my immediate reaction was like, "Where is he? I want to see him and I want to talk to him." And they're like, "Don't engage him," and all this kind of thing. Anyway, they showed me who he was through the crowd, and I wanted to go and confront him, because that's my nature. Be like, "Hey, I'm Cliff. How you doing?" Like, I'll talk to him. So, why are you following me? Like, let's chat, let's get it over and done with. And they said, "Don't engage him." So I left it, and then I was walking back to the hotel with some of them because of this issue, and this guy was waiting outside the hotel. So they wouldn't let me go near him, and they called the hotel security, and the hotel security had to go and get rid of the guy. But now I'm still in France for a couple of days. Every time I walk outside the hotel, I'm looking around and seeing if I can see this guy, because there's not people with you the whole time, and I don't want people minders, looking after me the whole time. I want to go and just do my thing. Yeah. So it kind of puts you on edge, and you don't really know, because the thing is, they know who you are and you don't know who they are. So that kind of thing affects me more, because maybe because I'm not in control of it. But we've had, I don't know, people wanting to sleep with you and being invited to furry parties and, all those kind of things. And it's like, "No, come on up. We're having a huge orgy tonight in that room. We'll see you there." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But you know what? I've got an open mind. Hey, people must do what they want to do. If they get enjoyment out of it and all that kind of stuff, for me, it's the same like politics and religion. If that's your view, that's your view. If that's what you enjoy, that's what you enjoy, But there's been nothing really that's freaked me out completely, but mainly stalker kind of issues, and then online stuff, where I've had to block many people, because they just get out of hand online, because they think they can say anything they want because they're anonymous, Yep. But and that's also one of those things. They know who you are, and you don't know who they are. So they could be walking right behind you in the street, and you don't know. So, growing up in South Africa, my radar is always working, so I'm always aware.
Yeah. But still, that's really unfortunate, though.
Yeah, but you know what? It comes with a business, and it's a lot of actors, huge, A-list celebrities. That's why they hide behind walls, because they can't. I go out. I'm not that big that I have to worry about people coming up to me the whole time. But you got to be aware of who you are, and it's part of the business. If you don't want that side of the business, then you mustn't be in the business, because most people are going to look up to you, but there will be a few crazy people out there who want to bring you down, or
Yeah.
don't like what you say, you know.
So generally on the whole, though, would you say that the majority of fans are pretty good?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, 99.9% of the time, the fans are very respectful, and it's still, I mean, to this day, after doing conventions for so many years, like 15 years, it still amazes me how respectful fans are. Very few times will fans just come up and get in your face. If the organizers tell them, listen, give the actors space. If you don't hassle them, they'll be at the party. Like if there's a big party or a big rap party or a get-together, if actors are hassled the whole time by the fans during the day, they won't come to the party at night because they'll just be like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
You know, but if actors are respectful to them, the actors will come to the party and they'll socialize with them, you know, at the right times. But there's times like during the day, I mean, it may not look like it, but we're working.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in the work mode. So when we've got fans coming up to us the whole time, like even if, yes, I smoke, so I go outside and have a smoke. I don't mind at all if I talk to a couple of fans here and there outside if I'm having a cigarette. But if they start congregating and really getting in your face, it's kind of like, I just wanted 5 minutes on my own, even away from the other actors. So that's when it gets a little bit much. But no, 90% of the time they're very respectful all over the world. Yeah. And as the years have gone on, they've kind of gained more respect for you because you're still in the business and because you're still coming to conventions. It shows that we're not sick and tired of the fans.
Yeah.
You know?
So after all this time, you know, it's been a decade since SG-1 went off the air. 2 decades since it started.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think is it about Stargate that people have latched onto for all this time?
Definitely that the characters were very real people. I think that's all the characters, even most of the bad guys in the show were real and relatable. And I think all that comes from Rick, because Rick is like that. Rick brought his sense of humor to the show, played it slightly tongue-in-cheek, and he made it relatable to people. You know, people wanted to be part of it. And it just looked real. It wasn't just a science fiction show with all these effects and these fake characters. I think every single character that's been in Stargate SG-1 has been a real 3-dimensional kind of character. And that's what people want to see. You know, I do. When I watch a show, that's what I want to see. If I watch a show and in 10 minutes I find it fake and I see it's being acted, I can't watch it anymore. And I think the whole thing with Stargate, it was always relaxed. And once again, I think that came from Rick. And, you know, it was all relaxed. It was like, it was real.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really more I can say about that, yeah.
Do you think that part of that was that the show was set at the time and not like 300 years in the future?
No, definitely,
you know, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
It was now.
Yeah, it was now, it was on Earth. So they'd show outdoor scenes, even Baal coming down and, you know, driving in a limo with guys like Baal's on Earth. It's amazing. Because it wasn't set in space. Yes, they do go to space and they do go to various places, but the whole crux of the show is based on Earth, so yeah.
So is there anything that you want to let the fans know?
Yeah, I mean, just thank you so much for so many years of support. You know, it's unbelievable, and I'm once again still amazed that I'm doing conventions, still getting invited to conventions, and that there's young kids coming up to me and they know exactly who I am. So it's time for another one, for sure. And if ever there was another, whatever version of Stargate SG-1 they wanted to bring out and they asked me to be in it, I wouldn't hesitate to be in it. It wouldn't even be a question. I would be there in a second because it's just an amazing universe to be part of. And it's a very fulfilling and satisfying universe to be part of. And we're very lucky. But thank you to the fans. Yeah, it's always about the fans who keep shows going. If people don't like a show, they don't watch it. The ratings drop, boom, that's the end of the show. Stargate had over 100 million fans worldwide. People who watch the show, more fans. But so yeah, all I can say is thank you to the fans for watching and supporting us.
So until that day where MGM gives you or your agent a call and says, hey, we're starting up Stargate and we want Cliff to come down here and do an episode, what is in your future?
I have some projects in the works. I can't really talk about them too much.
I have a project that's being pitched today, actually, back in Los Angeles. Very exciting project. It'll be my own show. It's a reality-based show. Other than that, we've got a trilogy film series, which is a sci-fi film series, which is also in the works. It's an Australian-American production, and we're hoping to shoot the first one next year. They can see it online I tweet about it often. It's on my Facebook. It's called Elmithia, Defy the Darkness. It comes from a book series, but it's a trilogy film series. Looks phenomenal. I've read the script. It's amazing. I'm in all three, one of the main characters, along with Priscilla Presley, and there's a whole bunch of great actors in it. So it's all in pre-production now, trying to get budgets together, trying to get the money together. And that was an offer role to me. So that's coming up. I hope that happens, because it's still within the sci-fi genre, and I know every single person who watches Stargate will watch this, because it really is phenomenal.
All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you,
I
man.
really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.